Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for joining us again. So no Miss Maggie T, she's in the back, she's keeping an eye, but it's just the boys tonight, the Scottish Falcons. So
Yeah.
we are coming at you with the second episode of our new show. We have a lot to discuss tonight, but let's start off while we get some people down in the chat. How are you, Des? How are you keeping, my man?
Fantastic, mate. As I said earlier on, another Scottish word that we're going to learn tonight is minging, because I've literally just walked in the door about 20 minutes ago. I've not had any food. I've not had a chance to shower, and I feel minging. So for all the American fans, what that means is, obviously in Atlanta, when you've been out in the garden all day and you've sweated that much that the clothes are sticking to you, and you then come into the house, you've not had a chance to have a shower, that's when you feel that you're minging. So, um, that's what I feel like. And but I mean, last night I got to say it was fantastic. The video has went really not viral, but it's done over 200 views as of this morning. So it's good to know that the international fans, the opinion matters.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. The family already in showing love. Georgia, Texas boy. What's going on, international Will and Des? Falcons family, the new era is here. The Atlanta Falcons will rise in 2025. That's it, my boy. We're glad to
absolutely.
have you back.
And let's hope, well, it's probably the best year to start the international, because the international show, because we've got all these exciting players. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. I mean, I actually watched a short video on X last night, and it was a picture of him, a video of him running out for his first game at the Benz, his first NFL game, and he had a smile. I actually screenshotted it and put it onto Twitter. And the smile on this guy's face, there was no fear. That this man, as I said last night, this man he's horizontal. This is
Yeah.
the new Matty Ice. Nothing flusters him. When you look back at college, and I know I'm jumping forward, but I'm passionate about talking about this. So when you
No,
look
no,
at
it's great to hear, man.
when you look at college, it was very, very rarely sacked. If you look
Yeah,
at Ryan Leaf, we all know Ryan Leaf, the guy that was drafted after Peyton Manning and effectively ended up, his career fell off after about 2 or 3 seasons as a quarterback. But
yeah,
when Michael Penix Jr. was coming out in the draft, he was the one that said he's my number one draft. He's the one that I would pick as my number one quarterback.
yeah.
Um, and when
He
you
is
look
certainly
and
the most pro ready. I would say, like, there's been a tendency, especially the last few draft classes. I'm just going to shout out the ladies before I continue. So,
yeah,
ladies are
yeah,
always here. Sonia, Auntie Pam, Lady Birds in the house, of course, Miss Maggie T herself, down repping the family as always. But yeah, I feel like when I looked at that class, especially the last sort of 3 or 4 seasons for me, a lot of these guys, they've got exceptional skills in certain areas, but they're not what we would call pro style ready quarterbacks.
uh,
But the way that things go in Washington, in the Big 12, or the former Big 12, I should say, um, they play a lot of pro style offense. So they're seeing a lot of schemes, and coming from somewhere where he's got a big, solid pro style offensive line, that transition rather, has been easier for him.
mhm.
As I said on the show last night with Ty, what's getting me is the right tackle, Caleb McGarry, because now every other team's going to know he's blindside. He's blindside now
Absolutely.
because it's a lefty. Yeah. So that's my kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if we can have Caleb McGarry for the last 2 years, I'll be happy. Um,
Let's talk, Mr. Aints fan. We get y'all twice this year. South runs through the A, my boy.
yeah, I think yous are looking forward to a Manning coming to you, because I think yous will be first pick in the draft. So I mean, I
Yeah,
love I love the fact that they don't care about us, but they'll then log into a show and watch the Falcons fans talking about.
it's nice to live rent free, bro. It is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, as you said, if we could have Caleb McGarry for the last 2 years, I'm happy. But again, he was probably one of the players that I thought we have to watch this year, because
Yeah,
this is a new. I mean, as I say, he's on the blind side. This is a new concept for him.
yeah,
And there has been times in a few games where he's been found wanting, but the one thing that people don't really notice about Michael Penix Jr. is he's actually a really mobile quarterback.
yeah.
Hence the reason.
That's the thing.
Hence,
He's not Michael Vick, but he can run. He's
oh,
not. He's. I mean, like I was going to say he's not a huge-bodied quarterback, but I mean, some of those big boys can run. Look at Cam in Carolina. So some of those big boys can take off, but I mean, he's not a Vic or a Lamar Jackson or a Jalen Hurts where he's going to go, oh, my check down's not there, I'm going to take off. If the pocket collapses, he can run, but it's not his forte, and I like that because with the receiving talent that we've got, I don't feel like he has to put his career in jeopardy with taking those runs and those slides. So I think it's the perfect QB for what we want to do. He's not exceptionally fast, as Cam says. He ran a 4.5,
no,
so
I think was
he's
it
not
no,
exceptionally fast,
no,
but fast enough.
yeah, I thought it was a 4.43, so maybe they're just rounding it up.
Right
But
in that, it's right in that. I'll look it up. But it's right in that neck of the woods. He was around about Kyle. I think Kyle was 4.48, and he was right in that sort of neck of the woods.
yeah,
But yeah,
but
he's not exceptionally fast, but fast enough.
as Ryan Leaf
Um,
said, the reason he picked Michael Penix Jr. is he doesn't get sacked. He
yeah,
doesn't get sacked. And I mean, you were talking about the other QBs. I mean, you look at Caleb Williams. I mean, there was times you were watching his college football when he was running about the field. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, and literally doing these mad throws like in the corner of the end zone. You're not going to get away with that in the
yeah.
NFL. That's just not going to happen. And then
Unless
you look at,
unless your name's Patrick Mahomes, you really shouldn't be trying that in the pros.
yeah, yeah. But you look at, I mean, you've got obviously the interview with Michael Vick, and obviously he spoke to Matt Ryan. And I put out a tweet last night: game recognizes game.
Yeah,
And when you look at Michael Vick and he's interviewing Michael Penix Jr., you can see the twinkle in his eye. He's looking at this boy and he's saying to himself, this guy, he could be it. He could be the Super Bowl winning quarterback. Um, Matty Ice has been on the phone to him. They've met up, and again, say what you want about Kirk Cousins. Cousins will be there to offer him support, showing him what kind of things he should do day to day, and how to obviously prep yourself and get used to the game coming. But as I say, the guy he's no nerves.
yeah,
There's a nice streak through his body,
yeah,
and that's going to be exciting.
yeah. And as I've said a few times as well, Des, kind of to anyone that will listen, I feel like Kirk, for all the carry on about his contract situation and his physical conditioning or lack thereof when he came to Atlanta, I just feel like he's almost in that Aaron Rodgers style of role. Now he can take this two ways, because take the media circus out and the will assign, won't assign thing. Look at the way that Aaron Rodgers is holding himself in Pittsburgh now. He wants to make Mason Rudolph that kid. He's like, I'm going to take my Super Bowl experience, my what 518, I think it is, touchdowns career, and I want to bring that to bear for the next guy, not just for myself. It's not just about me. So I feel like Kirk can really get the city of Atlanta back on side by doing that. And as I've said before as well, having the advice and the pedigree of a quarterback who's been there, done that at the highest level and excelled maybe not got that ring in the case of Matty Ice, even in the case of Mike Vick, but to have played to that post-season level where people are going, no, this guy's a perennial talent. He's a danger. He's a leader on this team. So to have all three of those guys, Ryan, Cousins, and Vic, having at least a hand in what he's got, adding to what MPJ is already bringing from as I say, a pro-style offense in Washington, which is a damn fine school. And then he comes into the pros. It's an ideal situation. As I say, he doesn't have to take all of that advice, but if he takes little bits of what all of those guys are giving him and adds that to what he's got, it can only accentuate what he brings on his own as well. I feel.
What I would always also say, he's got that aura. He's just got an aura about him. Maybe I'm just seeing something because I'm wanting this guy to be the next big thing or the next Patrick Mahomes or whatever. But I mean, I just see the way he conducts himself. You feel as if he can take himself to another level if he has to take himself to another level.
Yeah.
As you
just
said,
Matty Ice well in the comments there. Just a wee aside in the comments there as well, sir. While we get the chance, I'd like to shout out Caden Ellis because it is his birthday today. So happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, Caden. Yeah. And if you're watching, subscribe.
Please do. Please do. Pass on to the rest of the boys.
Absolutely.
As I say, we are the voice of the fans, and we're just trying to make it. Maggie spoke to us, and she said that the whole ethos of this whole entire AFN brand, because we are not just co-heads of the Scottish Falcons, we are the flagship team for AFN International. Mexico, absolutely. Germany, Canada, y'all are welcome to join us for the ride, but we're leading the charge. We brought out our kilts and our war paint specifically for this. Okay,
yes.
So
and the Claymore's in the cupboard, and if you're unsure what a Claymore is, it's a massive big sword.
Yeah, it's not a mine. We're talking the original Claymores.
Yes, absolutely.
So just as I say, got a couple of things to talk about tonight. There's a lot of Falcons that are kind of talking in talks just now in various different media, and you know what the media like to do. So one thing I would like to throw in and get off our chests is the clear disrespect that they've shown both Jesse Bates and Drake London. Now, you know as well as I do, having watched it as long as we have, that the top 100 is BS. It's a popularity contest. But how do you feel about the 96 and the 92 rankings, respectively? Surely not, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Drake London is, I would say he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. I remember when he came out in college, and there was obviously he was top in contented catches, and a lot of people were saying that was because he couldn't get away from the cornerbacks and actually move out. But he showed in the NFL that, I mean, he can go above anybody. I mean, again, going back to Michael Penix Jr. as well, as you go back to the Panthers game when they threw that pass that Drake London grabbed, and it literally just went out of bounds in the end zone. And then they turned that around again. Zach Robinson said, let's play this again. Let's go for it again. The Panthers knew what was happening, and Drake London goes up, grabs it, and it's a touchdown. Now, as you say, you're always talking about balls. Now that takes balls. That's the kind of offense I want my Atlanta Falcons to play. It's not about what the defense does. We don't care what you do. We're going to do it how we do it. And when you look at 96 position, listen, fair play. The guy, he gets into the top 100. He wasn't in it last year, but I would say that he's a top, in my opinion, he's a top 5 wide receiver. And you'll see probably the wide receivers that I would say are close to him. They'll be number 15, number 20, number 8, number 5. As I said last night in the first show, And again, guys, if you haven't went and watched the first show, this is a bit like any TV program. The pilot is the most important part of any show. So if you haven't watched the show, go back, and after this, go back and watch the first show, and you'll learn a wee bit about Scotland, about us guys, about how we started supporting the Falcons.
And you'll also see for these first 2 episodes as well that we roll deep. Shout out again to the Ladybirds, the Regulators, the rest of the AFN squad for supporting, for always backing us up and giving us this platform to do what we love to do and what we were made to do, which was talk about our birds.
And again, what a lot of people in America don't understand is that we don't have anybody to talk to about about football in this country.
Yeah.
Although the fan base has grown rapidly in the UK, you're not going to walk down the road and see a whole list of people that are wearing all these tops. And some of them, when they are wearing the tops, they're only wearing the tops because somebody gave them it as a birthday present. When you get to a point where you actually find somebody who, I mean, I worked with somebody close who was a Buffalo Bills fan, David, and when we got speaking, or when he came in to see me, it was literally 15, 20 minutes. What do you think? What's happening with the Bills? What do you think about the Falcons? This and that. And it was just because we had nobody to bounce off. So
100%.
There'll be guys in Atlanta that are watching this thinking that Des, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's my opinion. And from my point of view, I'm passionate about the Falcons. The other thing I would say, and I was going to mention this last night, what a lot of people don't understand in America and Atlanta is that with football, it's not taught in our schools. We don't go to nursery or primary school, as we call it in the UK, and they teach us football. So
we've not got a TV system,
a
Pop Warner or anything like that. We don't start playing. There is now university programs and some really good university programs throughout the UK. But shout out to the main college program in Scotland, which would be the Stirling Clansmen, for former British university champions. We've got a good setup up in Edinburgh with Edinburgh and the Napier Knights. There are teams throughout Scotland and the UK that are playing football at a high level, university-wise. We've also got the senior setup throughout Britain as well. So that's why I've kind of tried to take my outreach a little bit more back through to home, back through the routes that I came through. So I've reached out to the Britball community at large, ex-players, coaches, anyone who wants to get in, talk about birds, or even if, as I say, if you support the enemy, come on, let's just have some banter. As I say, it's a free space, so you won't get too much hate, but you get some banter.
Listen, if you wait to the end of the season when you have went 1-16, then that would be even better. But as I said, I mean, when I started watching football, the hardest part of it all was to actually learn what was actually happening in the game. And when you're watching the game, you just don't know what the rules are. And you have to really watch 10, 12, 15 games without knowing exactly what's happening in this game to actually learn. And then when you start listening to podcasts and they talk about 12 personnel and shotgun and pistol, I mean, us guys in the UK, most of us guys haven't been brought up getting taught that. So although we are passionate, there's a lot of parts of the football stage. It's a wee bit different for you. Well, you played the game with the Pirates. But for somebody like me, Google is my savior. It's effectively Google what's 12 personnel. You know what I mean? And you learn what that is, and you have to learn from that point of view. And I says to you, and I says to Maggie, I'm not scared to say that I don't know. I don't know a lot of the in-depth stuff. when you hear some of the other guys on podcasts and they talk about how, like Ryan Nuzzo is, he's got a good pass defense, but the run defense isn't great. And I'm thinking to myself, are these guys actually, have they got a trained eye that they can actually look at a game as it's happening and see this happening?
Yeah.
Maybe they have, but from my point of view, when I'm watching the Atlanta Falcons game, it's all about, is it a touchdown? Have we stopped the offense? I'm not getting into the nitty gritty of this or that. You'll spot certain things where, like last year, Raheem Morris should have done a timeout and didn't, and ran the clock another 30 seconds. So there's things that you spot that you understand, but for us guys, it's not as easy as just watching a game and then starting to support a team and starting to support Atlanta Falcons. You have to effectively dig in and learn what's actually happening on the park. And I think a lot of people in America and obviously in Atlanta, they don't understand that we don't have that support side where we can actually just go to somebody and go, what happened there? What happened there? So although the game in the UK has grown rapidly, it's very hard to learn all that without actually just watching games and effectively you hear either the commentator saying that Atlanta's going 4-3 there, and you think, right, okay, I need to find out what this is. So,
well, to their credit, first off, I'm going to do a wee shout out. So, Make Way Sports was in the chat there. Thank you for tuning in, boys. They're special friends of the community. We all support one another. So, go check out Make Way Sports. Those boys are great. They know their Falcons content, and they're always in the building to support the AFN. So, we're glad to have you. And in terms of being a fan overseas, as I say, as we were joking about last night, Des, we chose this for ourselves. We weren't born into the red and black. We embraced the red and black,
and that makes it even more special to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I looked and decided that I wanted to be a glory hunter, and I picked the most successful team the NFL's ever seen, the Atlanta Falcons. You know what I mean? If you haven't seen the show last night, obviously I visited Atlanta in 2008 and just loved the city and fell in love with the people. I would say there's times when I had wished that I had stepped off the plane in Atlanta and somebody had just come up and slapped me in the face. And then I'd have went home thinking that Atlanta's a terrible place. They people are terrible. They treated me terrible. And I ended up supporting somebody else, and I wouldn't have went through the pain that we've had to go through.
Saying that though, man, it could be worse. You chose pain, but it could have been worse. You didn't choose Dallas. You didn't choose Buffalo, Minnesota. It could be worse.
Yeah. I mean,
Jacksonville.
It was just serendipity. I was going to a property expo in Atlanta and fell in love with the city. I remember walking through the Olympic Park and thinking, this is a city. You know, I mean, you've seen the high rises, the CNN building, and you think, my God, this is what you think of America when you're coming. You're imagining an American city. You come into Atlanta. This is what I'm expecting.
And that's what I says to the Ladybirds as well. Like, when me and Moira, if we ever get the chance to get over to Atlanta, I don't just want to experience the Falcons. Of course, I want to go to the Bends. That's first and foremost. But I want to experience Atlanta. The missus and I want to sing in a black church. We want to eat real Atlanta food. We want to go to a tailgate. We want to, as I say, some of the guys have been kidding me on that, oh, you're going to touch down and the first thing you're going to be handed is a blunt with one hand and a do-rag with the other. And for me, it's like, no, I embrace Atlanta because Atlanta's embraced me too.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about, man.
And again, from my experience with obviously I seen Atlanta twice in London in 2021, 2023, and I got to meet a lot of the Atlanta natives that had come across, and they were so, it was like appreciation that we had decided to support Atlanta Falcons. When they've travelled over from Atlanta to come to London, when they can actually just go to the Bens and watch the team, I mean, that's dedication. And I think that gets lost quite a bit when you hear about the disrespect from the media. And to be honest, a lot of disrespect from the fans themselves. The die-hard fans that the Falcons have got is just ridiculous. Absolutely mental. They're so crazy for this team. And as we said last night, when we finally win that big trophy, the party, it's going to be the party of a century in Atlanta.
I tell you what, man, I can't wait for that Lombardi episodes that we all do. Those are going to be so fun.
From my point of view, when I go to Atlanta, I'm desperate. I know it's not a good time, but I would love to get a Braves game in as well and watch, because I'm a Atlanta Braves fan as well. So, and again, like that, I've not been able to get into basketball, so I would be an Atlanta Hawks fan if I was into basketball, but
I'm getting into the Hawks, although I've not watched enough basketball for a minute. So, but I used to be a Lakers guy, but this is from a British standpoint, when you watch basketball in Britain, you're only seeing the Lakers, the Celtics, maybe 2 or 3 other teams. Chicago because of Michael Jordan, things like this. Miami. But Atlanta's not well represented, but seeing what the city's like, we can talk behind the scenes. So if you do, drop some red and black, because if you want me and Des to start checking out some baseball, some basketball, and making the Scottish Falcons a little bit more diverse, doing, as I say, Maggie's got the Georgia Sports Network, which is all Georgia sports, and we don't just want to give back to y'all that are in the Bens every Sunday. We want to give back to Georgia as well as Scotland. We have a spiritual home. My heart's in Scotland, but y'all get there's a ventricle in Atlanta somewhere, so to speak.
Listen, I've got a talk somewhere, and it was literally one of the things you see on Facebook, and it goes, and it literally says, although on a Sunday I'm in Scotland, my heart will be in Atlanta. And I don't know, it cost me $25, and it's there somewhere. I still wear it if I can fit in it, but and again, that's the other thing that people don't understand. Trying to get really, really good Atlanta merchandise in the UK as well is really, really hard.
It's an absolute pain. And then, as you say, I can't remember if it was behind the curtain or on the show you were telling me, but about the debacle with your Bijan jersey.
Yes.
And finding out that people were going, oh no, that's not right. The stitching's off, and
I think I've got it there. So give me 2 wee seconds. Let me step off camera.
Yeah, not a problem. So just having a wee look at these comments while Des is off getting the jersey that shall not be named. Yeah, don't worry about that. I prefer my blood pressure in a cold can as well, or in a white paper. But I will not condone anything that I would not do myself. Just throwing that out there. Welcome back, bro.
Right.
Just teaching these kids.
When Bijan Roberts, so I've always been spot on with the draft picks. So Kyle Pitts, I knew they were going to pick Kyle Pitts. Drake London, I knew, I vaguely thought they would go for a wide receiver, but they then took Drake London, but I watched Bijan Robinson in Texas, and I mean, he was phenomenal, and that was the one. And again, in the UK, because the draft's on like a crazy time, I've got one neighbour, so I've got effectively what's called a semi-detached, which means I've got a neighbour at one side. and what he thinks is happening between 6 o'clock. Because again, if the game happens at 1 o'clock Atlanta, it's 6 o'clock our time. So the game lasts for roughly 3 hours. So on a Sunday between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock, there's no sport in the UK. Nobody's watching any sport in the UK. So what my neighbour thinks I'm screaming at between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and he's never asked me. He's never came and said, listen, I need to know, what is this screaming? It's either screaming at the TV because there's been a touchdown, or it's been screaming at the TV because we've had either an interception against us, or and to be fair, give his due, he doesn't ask questions. But when Bijan get drafted, it was like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I started screaming.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've been talking about this because I'm going to drop it now so that people can start getting the teasers ready. But we are going to go nuts come draft season, because Des missed it last year because obviously life will be life, but we're there now. So for next draft season, my man has put the weekend off of work. So we are going to be doing the 3 a.m. shifts again, like we did last draft season. As I say, as Auntie Pam says, thank you for the support again. She's just obviously was in London 2 years ago. The weather was great. The food was delicious. You've not tried British food till you come up here, though, Auntie Pam. We will bring some stuff over. You can try.
I'm going to ask Pam if she was at the pub before we walked to the stadium, because now that I'm looking at Pam's picture, I'm pretty sure I spoke to Pam. I wonder if she was at because we all done the Atlanta walk. We all went from the pub and we walked right to the stadium, and we were all shouting. I mean, it was, I've got a video somewhere, but it was probably the most. It was the energy was amazing. We were all shouting ATL and ATL, and literally, this is walking down London streets, and I think there was about 100, 150s, all with the red and black on, and we were passionate. We were screaming.
Deep.
Everybody was stopping in the black cabs and the cars and all that, and all they could see was all these Atlanta Falcon flags and everything, and we were going mental. So if Pam was over in London and she was at that pub, I'm pretty sure I've spoke to her.
There you go.
There you go. So the
AFN International have been active even before we were active. There you go.
I was there with my son, so that was at the time where I seen somebody and I was like, "Who is that?" And it was only later I worked out it was Rich McKay that had actually came to the pub. And he was a bit standoffish. Understandably, he was a bit standoffish. But
next time, just challenge. He's 40. He can't run.
Absolutely. So as we were talking, so Bijan Robinson gets drafted, and I think I can't wait for his jersey to hit Europe. So I went on and I done one of my own. So number 7 Robinson, and it arrived, and it's been a mess. So I put a picture and I put it up. So does anybody see the mistake? So I put the picture up on Twitter, and somebody in Atlanta said, send it back. Now, this was through a well-known football retailer, and he turned around and he said, send it back. And I went, why? And I didn't even click. It was like the ATL should be red and not white. So I was like, oh my God. So at some point I'll hang it up with just Robinson on the back.
That's your Chat GPT Robinson jersey right there.
Absolutely. And
100%. Fanatics are not to be trusted. Like, they do some very good things sometimes, but the hit and miss level is not something I would.
I need to say to Palm that the marching from the pub to the stadium was and again, I would love all the skeptics that put the Falcons down every 5 minutes just to see how passionate we all were. I mean, a lot of the fans were were UK, Germany. I know Alexandros was there, and the passion was unbelievable. I mean, we effectively, as I said, we shit the bed against the Jaguars. You know what I mean? So I think that game's only remembered because it was on Nickelodeon, and there's actually a thing with Bijan Robinson as a character.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just the passion of the international fans, and I mean, give Palmer due. I mean, she can see Atlanta Falcons any given Sunday when the season's on, and she flew all the way to London. That's like a 7-8 hour flight.
Yeah.
Heathrow's not a great place to get out of quickly. So you're talking that's 10, 12, 14 hours just travelling to a game. So
yeah, Andy Palm's a trooper.
We'll say we're dedicated, but hats off to Pam. That is dedicated.
Andy Palm. And as she says there, that jersey was still showing the ATL. It might be the wrong colour, but it was the right jersey.
Yes. But the thing is as well, the ATL's peeling off. It's just a horrendous jersey. So, and to be honest, I had put off buying more jerseys because I was hoping that this was going to be the season that the Atlanta Falcons would bring out new jerseys. I mean, the Washington Commanders have just brought out jerseys that effectively take them back 20 years. Let's hope the Atlanta Falcons can sort that at some point. I think we've had our time with these jerseys. I think Michael Penix Jr. now being at the helm, it's time for a refresh. It's time to have a new jersey, and so that we know him in that jersey.
As you say, these teams are worth over $1 billion a piece. So look at the way that soccer invests. Every new season, there's a jersey. Every team across Europe. But shout out, the man knows something there, Des. Guys, this year's going to be special. I don't know if you're speaking Falcons, if you're speaking Scottish Falcons, if you're speaking Falcons Nation, but listen, yes, and yes.
Everything Falcons is going to be special this year.
Yes, sir.
I feel it in my bones. I really do. And that's not just the hunger because I've not actually hit much today. So, but yeah, I mean, being a fan of the Falcons and being an international fan, you don't wake up to the newspapers. You don't wake up to much.
No.
I mean, listen, it's got benefits. When the game that we do not mention happened, I could just hide. Nobody was talking to me about the Super Bowl. So I literally just fell off Twitter for a month and didn't get near Twitter. And we're still, I think there's somebody put on something in the chat. A Patriots fan put on 28-3.
Yeah, so we're old sparring partners. He likes to get that 23 in there, but it's like, mate, are you a Patriots fan or are you a Cowboy? That was a whole long minute ago that happened, and you're still going on about it. Listen, there's dust on that Super Bowl ring now, and you're still going on about it. That ring is dusty.
We know about the Patriots. They've always been Cowboys, and when I say Cowboys, in the UK, when we talk about a cowboy, we mean a bad tradesman. So somebody that comes to your house and does a bad job, he's a cowboy. And the Patriots, all the Deflategate and all that, they've always been Cowboys. You know what I mean? So,
where do you think the Chiefs learned it all? People used to say the Patriots were sliding the refs like sponsorship deals and back pocket bribes, and it's like, oh, okay. So you just had your wish there, Mr. Patriots fan. We know a lot about your franchise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody had shared in Twitter the day as well. It was the Grady Jarrett on Tom Brady when it was flagged a
Oh,
couple of seasons ago. And I mean, it's again, it tended to be Brady that always was arguing. But even at that point, when Grady came in and sacked him, he didn't even complain at that point.
yeah,
The refs just flagged it. And then obviously we've seen what happened with Kyle Pitts and the Chiefs
yeah,
when they get effectively
absolutely.
assaulted. You know what I mean? If that happened in
Yeah.
a city street in Scotland, somebody would have been jailed for that.
Somebody was leaving less a wallet and somebody was leaving less an eye. Put it, yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely,
Oh
mate,
dear.
absolutely.
There were muggins going on, but this is the thing. I don't want to get at anyone specifically because that's not what I'm here to do. But the last, let's say, 10 years, the refereeing inconsistencies have been appalling. Like, especially if you're talking about the Chiefs. It's not just the Chiefs, like a couple of I go in to watch like Ravens Bengals because that's a couple of firepower teams. I like a lot of the teams in the AFC, the Chargers too, but when the Ravens play the Bengals, I like to see it because it's usually quite heated, and that's all going the same way. Like just that will to run somebody over, and I feel like that's changed in Atlanta as well. I like Falcons players who, pardon my French in advance, but they're the shit and they know they're the shit,
Absolutely.
and they walk and talk accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we were going to talk about like players that deserve recognition,
Yep.
and obviously, and players that were my favourites. And one of the historic players that I loved was Keanu Neal. And
Yes.
when Keanu Neal hit a player, that player knew he had been. I mean, that was poleaxed. I mean, he hit way, and I think he's just in February he retired. So,
Yeah.
but Keanu
He
Neal,
will be
what
missed. He will be missed.
absolutely. It was too short. I mean, obviously the way he played, you knew his career was going to be short because he didn't care about concussion or. I mean, he literally just if you were going to
Yeah.
if you were trying to get past him, he made sure he hit you. So,
He
um,
reminded me almost of Errol Thomas. If you remember prime Errol Thomas in the Legion of Boom, wasn't the biggest guy, but he would take your face off.
absolutely.
And then, as I say here, just a few more comments backing us up. I'm going to agree with you there, Cam. Roddy White doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, well, if you can read my writing, he's there. Roddy White is there.
Yes, sir.
So
Roddy White, so consistent, such a great wide receiver one, but when the wide receiver two option came in, he was a consummate professional. He went, no, you know what? Falcons first. I'm wide receiver two because I get this kid. If I can gel with this kid, we've got something special. And we did. I mean, you've seen the connection between him and Julio.
oh, I
As I
mean,
say, the comments are just insane. Thank you for all the love, the support, the questions. Keep them coming. We've
yeah,
got a couple of hours, so we'll keep going as long as you want us to, guys. But just
I
keep
do
smashing that like button.
I do apologize, but when we start talking about the Falcons, we just get into this. It's like just a way that we want to just continue to speak. So fair play on Will to actually look at the comments and deal with the comments. So
I'm doing my best here, man. As I say, we're figuring it out. It's only episode 2, but as I dropped as the first comment, if you look back on the live chat, it's only episode 2 of many, guys. We're gonna get there. So anything you want to see you hear, fight us about. just shout us out in the comments, and we will get to you. As I say, if we do miss you, we'll apologise in advance because we're still trying to get to grips with this whole leading the charge thing. But it's coming. It's coming. Miss Maggie, thank you
I'm
for
here in the
joining us.
back. I'm just in here in the back. And one thing I can say, fellas, well, everybody in the chat, if you guys want them to talk about anything, because guess what? They don't get a chance to talk about the Falcons that often, amongst other Falcons fans like this. So if you guys want to leave some feedback on the videos, if you want to email me, if you want to find them on social media and ask them questions so they can bring this back.
We appreciate it all.
Yeah.
3 shows a week to fill, so come at us.
Yeah.
We don't want to just we don't want to just be sitting here talking at you. We could sit and talk at you for 3 hours. We know we can talk. Maggie knows we can talk from behind the curtain, but keep it going, guys.
My sister just said her name is the one is Marshall. That's my twin.
Mm-hmm.
That she's loving the accent. So they just love the accents just to hear you say it. So keep going, keep talking.
We'd love to have you on, Marshall. Sometime you're free, feel free to jump on and have a gab with us.
Her butt to get on here.
We know you're a loyal dirty bird too, girl.
She don't even want to come on camera. She'll come on without camera. So we'll see.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. I'll actually with my 2008 visit to Atlanta. Probably one of the funniest moments, and again, it was all Georgia women. I had the full kilt on, so
Georgia women, okay, man.
Oh, here we go.
And
that's a different breed there.
And I just remember standing, and everybody thought that I had Scottish heritage, and that I was wearing the kilts because I was American, but I had heritage. And I remember standing, and I was explaining to someone that I was actually from Scotland. And I could just remember hearing this woman, and all she said was, "Oh my God, that accent!"
Yeah.
and then she copped a feel. So.
Oh dear.
So different breed over here.
But
I was watching another funny podcast for like alternative facts and all that, and it's 2 guys that are sort of in Georgia, 2 twin brothers, and I had to share this. I've been waiting a long time to share this, so I'll get it out now. One of them goes, "If you cannot get yourself a girl in the A, you must be a homosexual, because them Southern black women, they are aggressive. If they want you, they will tell you so."
Absolutely.
Brilliant. See, that's how you should subscribe. You never know what's going to get mentioned on this chat.
100%.
But again,
we promise to start with football. Where it goes from there, we can't say. But we'll always promise to start talking football. How's that for a caveat?
Absolutely. But again, get back onto the players' all-time favourite players, and again, I look at probably when you look at the Super Bowl run and what made that special, it was actually we drafted in free agency a player called Alex Mack.
Oh yes,
and he just solidified that O-line. Got him from I think it was Cleveland Browns.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, yep. And because I think he actually appears on the draft day video. You actually see him working out in the background in Cleveland Browns. So, but I mean, he just solidified everything. And he, again, when you look at what he done, he stayed for quite a few years. He moved on, and again, it took the Falcons a wee bit of time to replace him. And that's how obviously they drafted Drew Dolman. So players like that. I mean, you've also got, obviously, I've got Roddy White, Deion Jones. I know that obviously the last year or so there was injury and everything, but again, fantastic player.
Absolutely.
Ball hawk.
Algie Crumpler as well. There are some names that will fly under the radar, but there are guys who will never get the credit that they deserve, especially because that we brought in Tony Gonzalez, who was the GOAT anyway before he came into Atlanta. people forget Algie Crumpler. He was a superb tight end in his own right. It maybe wasn't Hall of Fame numbers. It was maybe the Hall of Very Good. But I'll take Hall of Very Good. Like,
Absolutely.
that's a solid career, and he played for the bird on the sleeve as well, which as I can't state enough, from a fan perspective, from a player perspective, from a staff standpoint as well. If you put more impetus and more credence in the name on the front of your jersey and not the name on the back, team together, everyone achieves more. It ain't about me; it's about we.
And that's how I sometimes, and I can see a lot of the Atlanta fans support me probably on this as well. This is why I think there should be more push to draft not just Georgia Bulldogs players, but Georgia players. You know what I mean? If you actually took a state in America and picked all the best players for each state, Georgia would be right up there at the top. You know what I mean? There's these players that have literally grew up Atlanta Falcons fans, and I don't care what anybody say. If you play for the team that you supported when you were growing up, you've got another 10% there. You push the barrel just a wee bit more. You work harder, and I just. You see all the Georgia Bulldogs, and again, I know a lot of them aren't all from Georgia, but if you actually look at like Georgia Tech as well, a lot of the Georgia Tech players are local players.
And you love to see it. You really do. And that's where I think the recruiting in states like that are geographically large, like California and Texas, the recruitment classes are insane. I mean, look at the team that, say, UCLA can field every year, or the Texas Longhorns. But because they're geographically enormous states, the pool is so large that a lot of these boys are going out of state. But the problem is that when you're in the southeastern region, when you are not talking about going to Texas, your options are limited because there's only so many schools on that size. So you're either looking at Georgia, Bama. Your options are very limited. You know what I mean? So
yeah. As I say, I think there should be a push to draft more Georgia players. And again, we're not in the state, so we're not privy to seeing how it all works. But as from what I know, seemingly the school football teams in Georgia are some of the best in the country.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not just like high school level and then going up. It's not even just the Georgia Bulldogs. The Falcons should be looking in the later rounds at some of these smaller schools. You've got Georgia Southern, you've got Georgia State, you've got Kennesaw State. Georgia's a big state too, and there are plenty of universities that field good quality players, if not great quality players. I mean, not all of those schools are going to be SEC caliber, but there's almost 140 programs in the FBS, so there's a lot of schools that aren't SEC caliber, So,
and
again, just keeping those boys home.
Raheem Morris came out and said that. I think like 9% of players in the NFL are undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and some of them, I mean, you look at it, I mean, I remember a few years ago, we had a guy in that had been brought in for training camp that was from a mining college. And I'm thinking to myself, how did they find that guy? So, I mean, the scouts are doing what they have to do, but sometimes I just feel that they should just look a wee bit closer to home.
This is a shout out for the gamers, believe it or not. Playing video games has helped me both, like to tie back to what we were saying earlier, it's helped me understand the intricacies, the play calls, the personnel matchups and things like this, the coverages and things. It's been playing Madden and playing college football games over the years. And the big thing college football wise is it's taught me a lot about recruiting, because it shows me there's different options. Like, say you want to bring in a prospective player, you can call the family, you can bring them out to campus, you can speak to academic prestige, things like that, to try and bring them on side. It gave me a much deeper and more nuanced understanding of the recruitment process. And yeah, I don't think that's said enough. The video games. No. They can teach you some real things. If you need to learn how the game actually works from an international standpoint, if you're new to it, buy yourself a copy of Madden, even if it's an older edition. Buy yourself an older college football game, fire it on, start running some plays, start experimenting. That is how I learned that, and watching film. I can't really go far enough into it. Give the games a shot, because your level of understanding of the X's and O's, as it were, it will increase exponentially.
I mean, the good thing from my point of view is YouTube. I mean, I'll sometimes watch the quarterback school. It was the guy that I can't remember his name, but again, again, he does a lot of good film as well, and he's a former Falcons as well. So
yeah, so shout out, Kurt, if you ever catch these shows, we'd love to have you on for a chat, brother.
Yeah, you can go into all the stuff that I don't know, you know what I mean? So
no, I think he might even have me at some points, like, okay. I might need to go back to the notes here and kind of draft myself up on maybe one or two bits, but
again, send me one
an honor.
About Kurt Benkert. I mean, he's high on Michael Penix Jr. this year, and I know that he was only in the league for 3, 4, 5 seasons, and I don't think he really played a game. I think he played a preseason game for the Falcons, but just to get to what he done in a career is still special, because he got into the NFL. So he knows his stuff. He knows his football. So, but 100%. Yeah, I mean he's high on Michael Penix Jr.
But I mean, you can see why. He's pretty complete player. I mean, I can't remember if you've seen my tweets, but I tweeted just a zoom in of some of his throws, and that is a pretty spiral, man. I'm glad MPJ is a Falcon. I really am.
And they talk about the size of his hands. He's 11 and a half, the size of his hands, and that spiral is to die for. And
that is insane hand size. Like for instance, I'm 6 foot. Mike is not much more than that. I think he's about 6'1", isn't he? Give or take. I have a 10 3/4. So add another half inch onto that, despite the fact that he's not that much taller than me. Dude has got some big ass hands.
Yeah. And again, I think that makes a lot. That makes a difference when you're actually. I mean, you look at Kenny Pickett. When he came out, the talk was about how his hands were so small, and he's not really lit it up. You know what I mean?
No, he has not. He's part of that whole mix-up they've got up in Cleveland now, the QB lottery.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually seen somebody mentioning one of my players, which was this one. So Devonta Freeman, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously thought about for the missed tackle, but what a player he was.
Yes.
Again, I've got Tevin Coleman. Again, really understated player. And again, these are all 2016. Taylor Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Again, great wide receiver. Todd McClure. Obviously, that's when I just started getting into the Falcons. He was like one of the leaders in that team.
Yeah.
And that's about me on that.
A lot of good guys on that team. That sort of era. When I got in and around about 2008, we were pretty stacked. So defensively, I know we had the heroes. We had John Abraham. We brought in Dwight Freeney for a minute. We brought in a lot of these guys. I'm going to throw up a special shout to Calais Campbell. I loved him as an Arizona Cardinal. I enjoyed his work in Miami, around the league, Jacksonville. When I seen him in red and black, and I was like, oh yeah. Just, you wanted that big huge, long, terrifying presence on the D-line. Calais Campbell will do that. That guy's pushing 7. I think he's like 6'8.5". Dude is a bear.
And from what I hear, he's such an amazingly phenomenal person. You know what I mean? But again, I didn't really get to see the players close up. I remember seeing Matt Ryan quite close up, and he was. I mean, again, you see him on TV, and I mean, he's 6'4". He's massive. So,
that's the thing. When you get used to reading just stat lines, it's like 6'4". It's like you don't realize 4 inches is more than it seems. When you meet somebody who's 6'4" and you're 6 foot, you go, okay, 6'4" is a big bit of a guy.
It's because he's surrounded by 6'6" offensive linemen. That's it. He looks so small.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like you meet a running back and you go, "Oh, you're a bigger dude," and it's like, "Yeah, because I'm running among giants, man."
Yeah.
Evening, Darren. Thanks for joining in again, brother.
Yeah.
As I say, he's doing a lot of work on getting his podcast and things going. So when you get some time, if you want to talk some Cowboys, we see you all in pre-season, man. So we're happy to have that chat.
Absolutely.
As I say to everyone in the chat, like as I say, we're opening up Saturdays as well. So Saturdays are going to be the big AFN International Freeform show. So it's open to all the teams of creators. So Ladybirds, Regulators, to the home team with Blackberry, to Ty, who does the Loch Ness podcast, to Knight Rider, who you all know and love, to Mad Mike. He might pop in and make an appearance. We are going to open the floor up to everyone. We are going to just enjoy it. It's the weekend. We're going to kick back. We're going to let our hair down, so to speak. So yeah, let's make Saturdays at this time a big event. Let's have some fun with it, especially until the season comes up. It might get a little bit spicier as we come into the season because Saturday's going to be hype day. But yeah, for now, let's just chill, kick back, throw some stats, throw some names around, because that's what I say is if me and Des go together and we've not met in person by then you might not be able to reach us because we're just going to be sat in the corner of some dark bar going like, but I tell you what about this guy? But we've not talked about this guy, and everybody's like, no, come on and party with us, and we're like, no, we've got stuff to discuss.
Absolutely. So obviously we've got a few questions, so let's have a wee look at that. So let's pop that.
We'll flip that into the Q&A section we go.
Yeah. So 10Cam01 said, what are you guys hoping new uniforms will look like for the Falcons? I would love throwback. I would love Michael Vick throwback jerseys, something like that.
That would be nice.
As we said, the Washington Commanders have come out with throwback jerseys as well, and as I say, I think the time has come and gone with the jerseys. I mean, this is I mean, again, not being disrespectful to Matty Ice, but this is the jerseys that Matt Ryan was wearing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that was 2021. So, I think it's time for a refresh. And as Will said earlier on, I mean, in soccer, every season, they're bringing out new uniforms, new tops, and people are paying them. You know what I mean? So,
and the special runs, like, see that third kit, you'll get that European, well, what we would call it in Scotland, because there's domestic and continental competitions, the Champions League and things like that. So you would have a European jersey. So there's no reason why we can't do special things. So one I would love to see, you remember the classic mid-70s white pants with a double red stripe?
Yeah.
That with the Vic era white jersey and a concept white helmet, go full white out. I think that would be lovely.
I just think anything new, anything different that we've not heard for that. I mean, it must be going on, what, 5, 6 years maybe since.
Yeah, it's got to be around that.
And they're saying that this is the time that the Falcons should refresh their uniforms. So
yeah, and as I say, it's the same way kind of you and me as well. Like, all we're trying to do is to give y'all something that you already know and love, but just something a little fresh, something a little different. So why the uniforms can't follow that mold, that's kind of all we want to see. Something fresh. We don't mind if it throws back, and it's year 60, so throwing back would make a hell of a lot of sense. Especially given the fact that it's the big one this year. So yeah, I wouldn't mind releasing maybe a completely new set of threads. Say here are 5 or 6 new uniforms. You might not see all of them all of the time, but you know what I'm saying? Just a kind of a new palette, so to speak.
Yeah. Do we know when the cut off is for teams to come out and actually say they're changing the uniform? Is that happened, or?
Oh, I don't actually. So if anyone can help us out with that in the chat, please drop it down there. I'm not 100% sure there is, but I'm just looking into it now to see. Yeah, the Nike uniforms do tell a story. I'm just trying to see. There isn't. I don't know if there necessarily is a deadline. I've never seen anything talk to that effect. I think it's more just, can you make the changes in time to get your uniform personnel department to make those changes?
Yeah.
But I don't know if there is any red tape on that, guys. Just obviously correct us.
And again, you see a few people on Twitter next and everything sharing their designs, and some of them look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
and you're thinking,
definitely.
God, I mean, Nike just really need to sharpen their pencil and get us new uniforms. And as I say, it seems to be it's a changing of an era that Michael Penix Jr. is there, and it would just be nice. Just like the way it was with Michael Vick and the new logo and everything, and how you see him with the old logo and the new logo, and it would just be nice if Michael Penix Jr. walked out with brand new uniform on. So
it would be like we've got that new identity, not just from the perspective of Penix, but from the perspective of building this defense to be something new under Jeff Ulbrich, and I feel like that would complete the rebrand. As I say, like when we rebranded the channel, it's cool to tie it back home, which is what we done. So you'll see the red and black, you'll see the AFN tags everywhere, and we're just throwing the Scottish Falcons stuff in that. There's nothing wrong with looking back out on a team that's got a history.
Yeah.
But as I say, it's a history of mediocrity. So to instill the ethos of this is the new chapter, these are the new boys. I say it's time to kind of bite the bullet, get the new uniforms made, 100%.
And you would think, with being the 60th anniversary as well, this would be the time to release a special jersey, like a 60th anniversary, new refreshed jersey, effectively commemorating some of the older uniforms, you know what I mean? So
that's the thing. Like, for instance, I've still got my 35th anniversary Pirates t-shirt there. That's their 40th year this year, so the eyes fell off the pirate, and it's not in the best nick, but they are collectible. There will never be another 60th year for the Atlanta Falcons. So knowing how passionate the city is for this team, there are ways we can do this, surely.
Absolutely.
So any more questions, just fire them down in the chat. Let's keep the conversation going.
There's another one. So how do you guys feel about our draft picks?
I'm in love.
Yeah.
I've had this out with Blackberry on other shows. We had a bit of a sparring match last night about it. But the draft class, I think we done it the right way, because I feel like we called some of the guys that we took as UDFAs. I feel like we called Kobe Bryant, Nick Nash, a couple of like prime guys, and went, listen, we only have 5 picks, but if you're still there, you are firmly in what we are kind of planning to do here. Joshua Simon, Simeon Barrow, Jordan Williams, the names could keep coming. But I think, like, in terms of we didn't have a lot of cap to play with, a lot of money in the pool, so to speak. So bringing in Leonard Floyd for that veteran presence was great.
Yeah.
But the draft and the UDFA process and having that now, that mix of youth and seasoned experience, I'm really, really happy with the way we've built this year. And the way that we've timed as well, I feel like it's almost ideal that MPJ got that few games, that 3 or 4 games last year, because I feel like it just then enabled him to go in and go, nah, okay, I've thrown a few picks, that's gone, that was what that was. I've threw a few touchdowns too, and I'm getting to know these boys. I've took a few shots. It's like, right, okay, that's great. Now you welcome to the NFL.
Yeah,
He's had that moment. Now it's time for him to take the reins fully. How you feel about the draft?
Yeah, well, I mean, go back to what you say on Michael Penix Jr. You hear a lot of the quarterbacks talking about how the first few games they're starting to see the game slow down for them.
Yeah.
I think for Michael Penix Jr., I think the game is always slow. And there's obviously that wee film that you see where he's walking with Drew London. He walks over to Drew London and he says to Drew London, "We got this," as if to say we're getting there. You know what I mean? We're getting there. Yeah. And the fact that he only played with that he only literally trained with the first team after week 15. And to be honest, some of these shows that he done in the Panthers game were sublime. They were out of this world. But then you look at the draft, and again for the last few years we've really been building the defense, but then you feel like Atlanta turned into the Philadelphia Eagles this year, where every player just fell to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this is the thing as well, when it comes to guys like Drake London, I'll see if you agree here. Like, speaking about it from an archetype standpoint, he's too big to be a so-called possession receiver, but his skill set is that. He's not a burner. He's not a Jamar Chase, a Tyreek Hill, a Justin Jefferson. He's not going to full-on sprint for 50 yards and catch a bomb. He can go up over the top, but it's in the intermediate game, catching and making those moves. And while he's making those moves, as I say, he's shifty for his size. But when you're trying to bring that size down, that's still a 190-pound, 6'4" receiver. So it's that great balance. And as I say, I don't like to look too much into here's the top 3s, the top 5s, here's ones to watch. But one stat that did stand out to me in terms of pass catching, for all the inconsistency that we've had quarterback wise, there were only 3 wide receivers last year who had over 1,000 yards and over 8 touchdowns. It was Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Drake London.
Yeah.
That's so I'm just going to leave that there, you know.
And effectively, if Darnell Mooney didn't have his injury, he would have been the fourth.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at the tandem, and again, like for players this year, I mean, Darnell Mooney is the one to watch. I mean, I honestly believe, I don't know what they done with him at the Bears, but Darnell Mooney is a wide receiver 1 who is playing for the Atlanta Falcons as a wide receiver 2. I don't know how his contract goes. I do know that he signed a 2-year, originally signed a 2-year contract with us. I'm assuming this could probably be Darnell Mooney's last year in the Falcons, because you can't tell me that there's 32 wide receiver 1s in other teams that effectively are better than Darnell Mooney.
I'd say you'd be hard pushed to find 20.
Absolutely.
Mooney is that, and wide receiver such an inconsistent position too. And the fall can be quite dramatic. Look at Cooper Kupp. But I feel like there's a good sort of maybe 20, 25 possibly receivers that are, no, okay, you're a wide receiver 1. And then you start getting into the mix of, well, no, some of these wide receiver 2s are nice too. And I feel like we've got the same situation with Tyler Algier. He starts on maybe he starts on maybe 16, 18 teams, possibly more.
Yeah, he again, he's a running back one that's just on a team with Bijan Robinson on it.
Yeah.
The classic Michael Turner scenario, you know what I mean? And to be honest, I think his aunt or one of his family members follows me, and she's always saying that how amazing. I mean, he is. He's. I mean, literally, we drafted him. He was a 5th round draft pick.
And a walk-on in college.
And effectively, the statistic that stood out was that in the season that the last season of his college football, he had more missed tackles than any other running back in college football.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you think, and then you look at Bijan. Bijan really is the missed tackle master. But then you just think to yourself, all these teams they're sick trying to grab Bijan Robinson, and then Tyler Algier comes on, and it's just literally like a sledgehammer. It's like bang,
absolutely,
head down, bang. I mean, last
year, of the Falcons who were like, surely we're not taking a running back, and I'm like, this isn't just any running back. I'm a Texas Longhorns fan, as you know, and I'm like, nah. Like the one I published for us, you don't know what you've unleashed. That's like Atlanta, you do not know what you've got, and this kid is special.
I mean, I always say he literally breaks ankles. I mean, just look back his highlights from last year, and there was players that were standing like a foot from him and just didn't even get touching him.
Yeah. Basketball moves on a football field, man. That's all it is.
And then Tyler Algier comes in, and it's like, right, bang, get the sledgehammer out, smash. And you can just see the guys in the other team just going, nah, I can't be having this.
That's not a 1-2 punch. That's a one punch when you've got a loaded pistol in the other end.
Absolutely.
Having Algier, like, I would love to hold on to him. I don't see how we can.
Yeah.
Because this is where things get serious. When you start talking about Caden Ellis, not AJ Terrell, Jesse's 2 years left?
Yeah.
Caleb McGarry. We're going to need to pay Drake after next season. So, my worry is, where's the money coming from?
Well, we won't be 27 million in the hole next year, so
that's going to help. That will help a lot.
So, and I think what we need to look at is, I'm pretty sure Kirk Cousins won't be here.
No.
There's going to be an injury. They're going to get rid of him, and he's going to be gone. My concern and my worry, being an Atlanta Falcons fan, we always get sided with something that we're not expecting. My worry is that Michael Penix Jr. has an injury, and we've not really got a good backup to
I'm worried. Yeah, I'm concerned because I'm not convinced by Mr. Easton's stick. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he's not a name that fills me with any kind of anticipation whatsoever.
Yeah.
With all due respect, like, the kid could be a decent QB, but he's QB3 on an NFL squad for a reason. I don't want to get to that stage, and that's my worry. But I feel like that's what Kirk's holding out for. He goes, if I can get one more run, because I mean, he has nothing to prove. He's got stats. He's not got a ring, but he's got stats, and he has made $390 million. He is holding out the hopes that he can get one more run as a starter, or he's gonna call it quits and head for Shady Acres, so to speak.
All I'm going to say is, if there's anybody that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, it's Kirk Cousins' agent. That man, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that man, what an agent that guy is.
Yeah, if you're listening, please come and get behind the AFNI and try and get it monetized. Because if you do it, I'm turning up in a Lamborghini today, guys. How you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously, sorry, on you go.
No, I'm just laughing at what you said. It's like it's unreal how he fleeced the NFL for that level of money, when the guys around him who've earned on that level or above are like Brady, Rodgers, Stafford. You're like, right, okay, and then you see that name and you're like, wait a minute, what?
But again, you look at Kirk Cousins' situation. I mean, his wife's from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she's happy to be here. They've got young kids. You know, I don't think. I mean, if you look at the Desmond Ridder scenario, I think he's turned down some tryouts for NFL teams because he's young. I think he's got a young kid. Maybe he's came to a point where he's thought, you know what, enough's enough. I can't be traveling here, there, and everywhere, and with my family. And maybe Kirk Cousins feels that way. Maybe he thinks, you know what, I want to be playing every week in a team, but if I'm not playing every week in a team, then the best place for me to be is Atlanta. So this is the thing. Terry Fontenot come out and he said, "This is what's happening. We're not letting him. We're not releasing him. We're holding on to him, and he's going to be the backup for the season." And then everybody came out and said, "Oh, they're just saying that so that somebody will draft for him or somebody will trade for him." Blah blah blah. And then, sure enough, it's happened. So, from
just
my
seeing
point
some
of
of
view,
these, double checking some of these comments as well. We've got a few recommendations coming in. So we've not watched QB season 2, or at least I haven't yet. I will be watching it this week. And there's also, they've dropped it in the messenger for us as well. There is a 7-part history of the Falcons. So what we'll do, that sounds good. I'm going to check that out. But in terms of
absolutely.
QB season 2, what Kirk's been saying, I'm going to check in this week. So one of the shows next week, we'll set aside a wee half hour and we'll talk about what Kirk's saying as well. Because Maggie's saying it gives you a whole new sort of feel as to how he actually feels about the Michael Penix situation, the fact he's now a backup, and things like that. But I know, as I say, from watching him in Minnesota, Washington, throughout the tenure of his career, that he's a good man. He has strength. He has a level of decency. So I feel like he's clever enough and diplomatic enough to where he's going to conduct himself accordingly. But Maggie's like, no, I feel like his heart's in the right place, and you love to hear it. So I will check that back and get back to you on that one, guys.
Yeah. Got to say,
and in Scotland, with being out of the market, I use streamers. Just going to throw that out there. So I use a couple of aftermarket ones, which we won't discuss on here, but there are links available. Alternatively, if you're not doing that, you can go onto NFL.com, but then all you get is like drive summaries. So it's like, if you've ever been on NFL.com on game day, you'll see it. A pass for 30 yards, a run for 7 yards, and it's not the best way to do it. But I'll send you a link after the show days as well. And then that means, because this season, especially with the shows every week, we are not going to miss one single second of a Falcons game, because we want to bring it across and break it down for you in the best possible way. And as I say, if you're going to come at us, we want to be able to defend ourselves appropriately. So just know that in advance.
Yeah. Well, I'm a nice person, so I actually pay for NFL Game Pass. So effectively it changed a few years ago. So DAZN, who obviously is in the world, around the world, the sports channel, they took on the NFL Game Pass. I pay about 160 or 170 pounds, so about $200. And that allows me to then, so effectively what I do is I can go in and I can watch the Atlanta Falcons games. The only downside is that if it's getting shown on Sky Sports, then there's a blackout, so you can't watch it straight away, but you can watch it about a few, like maybe 3 or 4, an hour or so after the game's finished. You can watch it. We're probably in the UK, we're probably the only ones that don't want the Atlanta Falcons on prime time. games, because that means like late nights. So a primetime game starts at 1 o'clock in the morning here. So for somebody
and
like me,
that was the reason I went for the South as well, because I went at least Atlanta's East Coast. Could you picture being in Scotland and trying to rep, I don't know, San Fran or Seattle?
Yeah,
for instance, that would be brutal.
Yeah. So the primetime games for us, it's sometimes I need to get to a point where I'm watching it the next day. And again, that's the benefit of being in Scotland, because you can actually go a full day in a working environment and nobody's going to talk to you about the game. So you can literally work 8-10 hours that day, be able to come home, and then on the NFL Game Pass, you're actually watching the game. So in monetary terms, it's probably about $240 for me to pay. And again, I can watch most of the games, and that we don't need to use a VPN or anything. Obviously, there's a few people we call dodgy boxes, because they're dodgy, as in.
And it's one of those ones, you'll have it in the States too. I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
It happens. There's probably three in every street.
Yeah, good old Fire Stick. That's all I'm saying. Good old Fire Stick. So
that's
but again, I can effectively the benefit. I would say the NFL Game Pass was actually better, since it went to the zone. See if you actually pause it and then try and forward it. It literally kicks you to the actual the part that you're
the man knows.
At that point. So dodgy
the man knows.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's probably harder in the American market to watch Atlanta Falcons games than it is actually in the international market, because this isn't the NFL's main source of income. The international market, their main source of income is the American market. So obviously, I know 10Cam01 says that he has to use a VPN to tell him that he's in Atlanta. Well, we don't need to do that.
Sometimes it's the how would I put it? It's the joys of being a Falcons fan or any kind of sort of American sports fan, due to time differences and regional zones and all the beautiful things like that. It's similar, but not too close to what we have if we're trying to watch something based in Europe, because Europe, the continent's an hour ahead of us, so everything that's say 7 o'clock in Spain is 6 for us, and things like that. It's not so bad in Scandinavia, but there is a regional split. But I mean, it's crazy for the States. I mean, you guys have what is it, 5 time zones, something insane like that. So,
and again,
I mean, you have states bigger than our country. They have states that dwarf Scotland. So
I think the UK could fit in Texas easily.
Probably a few times over. Yeah. It's insane.
I mean and again, you hear this about America is when they talk about doing a short drive. A short drive's like 2 hours. I mean, we drive for 2 hours in Scotland. We're in a different country. We're in England.
Aye, that's what I says to Maggie as well. It's like, you guys drive for 45 minutes and you're still in the same city. We drive 45 minutes. The accents change twice, and nobody calls bread rolls the same thing anymore.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, like, there's people out there that go an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to their work. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, 2 hours, and we're literally, we're Sassenachs. We're getting through things through it is because we're in England. So
here's another Scottish word for the Americans in the chat as well. My missus is from the Broch, Broch, Broch. She's from Fraserburgh, which is up in the northeast coast of Scotland. And if you think we are hard, if you have to put the captions on for us, put someone on for Fraserburgh and then get back to me. Like, I'll say that much.
I mean, the one thing I would say is we're quite easy to understand. But what I'm hoping that we're easy to understand for the Atlanta Falcons American fans. So, but I've said before, if there's anything that we say that you don't understand, always just go in the comments and just ask.
100%.
What we said. And to be honest, we really appreciate all the questions as well. So
yeah, we really do. So we've got up to the 2 hours. If you want to, we're at 1 hour 30 just now. So if anyone's got any other points you want us to cover, as I say, I'll drop the banner again. All we are doing now is just a little bit of Q&A there. So as I say, we've spoke about potential breakout years and fit like indeed.
Yeah. If we drove 2 hours, we'd end up in a different continent. Aye, that's true. Yeah, that's
true. But yeah, it's as I say, that's why we had the idea to really push the shows Scottish wise, because from our reception, not just from my grind, but from your experiences in the itself and the handsy women, Des, you know that they love the Scots too. So I knew that they'd get behind us. I knew that they'd get behind us, and to try and explain how much it means to us to bring it together, and to kind of put it across for y'all is just it's insane that we've reached this level so quickly. We're just going to try and keep pushing for y'all,
and it's only going to get bigger because effectively the international game, the football internationally is just growing and growing. You've got a game in Brazil, you've got a game in Mexico, you've got a game in Ireland this year, you've got a game in Spain, you've got a couple of games in Germany, you've got a few games in London. So, I mean, it really is becoming an international game now.
Yep. And the national leagues are actually like, it's still pay to play in Britain, but taking Germany, Holland, and Austria, all three of those countries are now in a professional capacity. These boys that are playing for the teams in the Austrian League, German League, Dutch League are being paid to do that now. So we are pushing.
And I'm going to say something controversial. I think now is the time to bring back NFL Europe.
I'd love it. I've been sharing old Scottish Claymores and Barcelona Dragon stuffs in the chat. Then was not the time. It wasn't the time then. Now I feel like it could be a self-sustaining entity. Look at the UFL. People are crying out for off-season football, and we're just crying out for football in general in Europe. So if you're looking into bringing that back, now would be the time.
I mean, when you look, so you take D. Alford for an example. D. Alford, when undrafted, nobody was interested in even drafting him, and I think he got into a training squad. Had to go to the CFL, lit it up in the CFL, and then the Atlanta Falcons brought him in really to just look him over in the training and the practice squad kind of thing, and he got onto the team. You imagine the amount of lost talent that is just disappearing out of the NFL that could come to Europe. And again, I'll put this out here. I honestly believe that each NFL team should have a squad in Europe that effectively they can use. You've got 16 players on the practice squad. Let's forget about that. Let's have a team in Europe. Say, for instance, the Edinburgh Falcons or the Glasgow Falcons, and that's then their feeder team for their main team, and all the players that are literally in the practice squad. And I mean, there's 90 players are signed at the start of the season, and that gets frittered down to 53 players.
Yeah. So why not, as you say, here you can sign 106 players, 53-man squad. That's your Falcons, that's your Seahawks, your Vikings. In Europe, you have another 53-man squad of sleeper agents, practice squad guys, still playing football, still staying healthy, still working hard, because they can transition.
And then the catch would be the European team's 16 practice squad members are all local players.
Yes.
You know, I mean...
So that there is the home bases in these countries. Yeah. And as you say, Spain, Croatia, there's a lot of Europe getting to the stage now where we are paying these guys to play in their national leagues to get exposure. I mean, there is a Scottish player as well playing in the NFL right now. He's a punter, the Scottish Hammer, Jamie Gillan.
Yeah.
He's down in, I think he's down in Houston now for the Texans.
Yeah, you look at Lenny Craig, who we've just signed as a kicker. You know what I mean?
Yep, Germany
to compete with Koo, and seemingly he had a whole load of teams watching him, and seemingly didn't miss a kick.
Yeah.
So
and I know he's long. I've seen he's long. He tops out about 63, 64, so he's got cool-like range.
But again,
he can bang them in.
But again, there's going to come a time. It's not a coincidence that Koo effectively came from Korea, which again plays a lot of soccer.
Yeah,
effectively the way that they're trained over here, and again from school with soccer, means that they're better at kicking a ball. It's natural for them.
And you'll hear it said sometimes in college football. You will hear football style kicker versus rugby style kicker, because if you watch rugby and you watch soccer, soccer players will come right up underneath the ball. The rugby players, because they've got to get it through a similar set of goals to football, you will see them hook the leg and almost curl the ball through the air. So there's two styles of kicking, at least from my understanding. There's probably more as you get more nuanced, but sort of that football versus rugby mentality of how you're taught to get that ball up into the air, essentially, and what trajectory you're trying to put it on. But yeah, it's good to see that a lot of guys are coming, not just out of Europe, but out of South America, out of Asia. And that's the beauty of it too. We've already got teams down in Mexico putting things together. So if you're a Falcons fan and you're over in Korea, China, Japan, India, hit up your friends. If you know anyone else in that region, this is what AFN International is all about. We want to grow the sport of football and the brand of the Atlanta Falcons and the Atlanta Falcons Nation and the Scottish Falcons, because now we are personally invested. Let's grow all of this. That's it. But yeah, barefoot style, toe kickers, they're ball kickers, which is they'll use the actual bone of the foot itself. Like mixed martial artists, there is 1,000 different ways to kick somebody in the head, and there's 1,000 different ways to kick a football.
Absolutely. But as I say, I think now's the time for the NFL Europe League to come back.
Yes.
I mean Germany could probably have two or three teams. I think the UK. I mean, you're talking maybe one or two in Spain. You probably get one in France. You probably have you would have a Northern Ireland team. You would have an Irish
team. I could see London getting a team again. The Monarchs will be back. If you reform NFL Europe,
you would get a Glasgow or an Edinburgh team, and then you're effectively, you can then look at maybe the Asia area and look at teams over there. You know what I mean? And then you look at you could actually do an international league. And I know the traveling would be tough, but I mean the better and the more international fans in the games and like NFL Europe. I mean, I would love to. I mean, if it was like Glasgow Falcons and this was all the second string Atlanta Falcons, I guarantee we'd be on here going, this wide receiver we've got at Glasgow Falcons, we need them on the team. He's fantastic. He's amazing.
I'm not being funny, and it might spur some of these guys on who are like, no, British American football's no for me. It's like, well, go try out for the real thing then, because I'm not being funny. Like, if it wasn't for the epilepsy and the fact that I'm down a few stone now. See if that came, if NFL Europe had been reborn when I was say 23, 24, I'd have been down there like that. Throw me some buzz. Let's see what can happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So some of these young guys coming up that are playing for I'm going to drop some names here that are playing for the London Warriors, that are playing for the Newcastle Vikings, the East Kilbride Pirates. They didn't field a team this year, but the Edinburgh Wolves, Nottingham Caesars. There are teams on a level in Britain, and I'm sure in Spain and Finland as well, because we see them at the World Championships, in Germany, Holland, France. I feel like it's been proven enough and it's widespread enough that it's time for America to open their eyes and take notice.
I mean, well, I need to ask, when did the actual NFL Europe league finish? When did it end?
I want to say around 2006.
So you look at the growth since 2006 and what's happening in Europe now. I mean, in 2006 there was one game in Europe which was a London game.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Now we've got like 8, 10 in Europe. I mean, the actual fan support over here now is probably 100 times more passionate and larger than it was in 2006. So I would love to be in a position where, I mean, as long as it's not the Aints. I mean, I'm not supporting Glasgow Aints. It's just not happening. I'll drive to Manchester or London before I would go to my back door and.
Nobody wants to see the Glasgow Isnies.
And again, what would we call it if it was Scottish? Would it
2007.
Would it be Scottish Claymores again, or?
That. I didn't feel there was anything wrong with that. Or
the London
Scottish
Monarchs,
Klansmen.
Yeah.
London Monarchs. You had the let me think. The Frankfurt Galaxy, Rhine Fire.
Yeah.
Barcelona Dragons, Hamburg. Was it Admirals? Generals? Something like that. I think at one point there was 12 teams that shrank to 8. And then as Darren's just corrected me there, 2007. 2007-08 would have been the last real season. Because as I recall, it got so desperate that you had William Perry, a well past his prime William Perry, in a London Monarchs uniform. That was 95, but it just shows you, if you feel you're too old or you've lost a step in the NFL, there are options to keeping that career alive. If you feel you're not done or you have more to prove.
Or
so that's all you're trying to do as well.
If you have an injury and you can't play the game anymore and you want to go into coaching, where's the best place to go? Go to NFL Europe, start at the bottom and coaching and work your way up. I mean, obviously they've got the college football and everything, but when you hear college players coming into the NFL, they tell you it's a completely different game. You know what I mean?
And it's why so many pro players don't work out. It's why so many first rounders don't work out, because they come out as touted players, because they are good players and phenomenal athletes on a college level. The athleticism always translates. Like, they will always be physically gifted, but sometimes that level of play hits different, where you come in and everyone's bigger, everyone's faster, and everyone has a more sound, fundamental and rudimentary understanding of the game, including all the little trick plays and things like that. So I think it's just, some people think that once they get to the league, that's it. They don't want to keep grinding. They don't want to keep studying film. They don't want to keep their nose in the book. And I would say I would strongly recommend that that's not a good idea. If you want to hit the NFL at a high level.
And I think as well, the other thing about the NFL Europe you would only get the dedicated ones coming. If you've done nil in college, and you've made a good few million, and then somebody comes and you don't get drafted, and somebody says to you, "Oh well, you can go to NFL Europe." If you've got the money in the bank, you're not coming. So the ones that do come are going to be the ones that are dedicated, the ones that are wanting to put in that hard work, the ones that have been told that they're not good enough. And then they come over to NFL Europe, and there'll be passionate fans, and the support will be there as well. And I mean, 100%. No disrespect to like what we've got just now, but it's literally it's like an amateur league just now, where It's literally, it's all about what can
and
we
as
put
Darren
together.
says, we get behind these boys for a young age. That's what we need to do, like the States do. The University League is pretty good over here. As I say, we'd already dropped a few examples: the Edinburgh Napier Knights, Glasgow University Tigers, the Stirling University Clansmen. And that's not even taking into account some of those English unis, the Durham Saints, the Birmingham Bulls. Newcastle University's got quite a decent setup. So all throughout Britain, not even getting into Europe. So if we can get behind these boys at an early age, we could well be building the stars of not just NFL Europe of tomorrow, but of these 32 real NFL franchises for tomorrow as well.
And I mean,
start to the ground up and get behind these kids.
How good would it be that, I mean, again, I think the American fans would probably still stick to the NFL and watching the NFL. But how good would it be if we were coming on and actually talking about players that we had seen that were like practice squad players for the Falcons, and shout about how good he is, and if the Falcons have an injury, we can say, well, they should bring him over, and you actually see the player gets. I mean, from that, going from the NFL Europe just to the practice squad would be a great achievement. But yeah, the hunger for football now in Europe is just, it's in a whole different stratosphere. Hence the reason why we've got the international podcast.
And that's why we're checking back to home brand, because as you say, there's a lot going on. It's the 60th anniversary of the team. We've got the big German game. We're cashing in a lot of different markets as a team. Maggie's tried to emulate that with the AFN franchise, if you will. Just trying to get in touch with me. As I say, we've been grinding behind the scenes for a number of years on this because we are passionate, and because obviously it's bringing the... I shared a meme, for instance, of a US tree and a Scottish tree with intermingled roots, because that's how I feel about this project. And I feel like it's only going to grow exponentially from here. So now that I see that the chat's winding down a wee bit, we can go and sum things up. So Des, how have you felt tonight's been? Have you enjoyed doing the double header back to back?
I mean, literally, we've talked in the last two shows, we've talked for 4 hours, and there's still things I've not spoke about. So obviously we've got the show in Saturday. If it's just us two, then there's still loads to talk about.
100%. But as I say, we're going to drop the link on Saturday. So for the first time ever, exclusive, you guys can jump on. If you're a part of the AFN family, we don't care what team, we don't care what country, what colour your skin is, what language you speak, as long as you're conversational in English. Come on and let's talk about it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring one of your little chat lines from last night, and I'm going to use it as the tagline to sign off. So before we do, where can everyone get at you, Des?
So I'm only on X at the moment, or Twitter, whatever you call it. So it's Scottish Falcon. So again, after the last show, I had quite a few follows, which was much appreciated. I do believe that probably most of the people that are watching the show were following each other anyway. But on Twitter, X, and it's Scottish Falcon.
Thank you. And as I say, before I do my shout outs and thanks, just appreciate you sparing the time and coming on with me, building this Scottish Falcons thing up, independent of the FNI thing too. Special shout out to Maggie for tying all that together for us. As I say, helping us get wings on this thing. But more importantly, as I say, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much to everyone down in the chat, the ladybirds, the regulators, every one of you giving your questions, your takes in the chat to allow us to sit on here and rant for 6 hours a week.
And we're learning. So I know obviously we had a whole list of the things that we were going to talk about, but obviously I've learned tonight we need to kind of stick to that, because we're jumping. I was jumping onto things that I wanted to talk about because again,
that's the beauty of it, man. We've got 2 hours, so if there's anything that we touch on that you can come back to at a later point, 100%. As I say, just whets the appetite for what's to come as well, and there is lots to come, guys. So
absolutely.
So all we'll say to sign off then, thank you once again, and remember, pain is universal, but so is passion. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Love y'all.
Bye.